All right, picture this. Jaime Lannister is standing at the gates of Winterfell. The war is over. The long night has passed. The Night King is gone, dust in the snow, and for a second, just a second, you think there's peace. But peace in Westeros? Come on, that's a lie people tell themselves before the real storm hits. Now, let's take a detour from what we saw in the show. What if things didn't go the way we thought? What if Brienne of Tarth, the one sworn to protect, the one who stood for honor, did something unthinkable? What if she betrayed Jaime Lannister? Let's dig into that. After the Battle of Winterfell, people are broken, tired, burned out, and Jaime is more confused than ever. He fought alongside people he once hated. He stood by Brienne. He even knighted her. They shared that quiet night in the cold room, and yeah, they made love, if you want to call it that. For a moment, Jaime believed he was a changed man, but deep down, he wasn't. And Brienne knew it. Here's where the twist comes in. Brienne had always been loyal. Loyal to Renly, to Catelyn, to Sansa, and even to Jaime. But let's be real. That loyalty? It cost her everything. Her dreams, her honor, her love. And when she gave herself to Jaime, she thought, finally, she mattered. But the very next morning, Jaime gets up, puts on his golden hand, and tells her, I'm leaving. I have to go to Cersei. Boom. Just like that. Now, in the original story, Brienne cries, begs him not to go. But not in this timeline, not in this version. In this version, when Jaime says he's leaving, Brienne doesn't cry. She smiles. You heard that, right? She smiles. A cold, calculating smile, because she was expecting it. Because Brienne knew. Jaime Lannister was still wrapped around his sister's finger. And if she couldn't save him, then maybe she could punish him. You want to know the craziest part? Brienne already made a deal. A silent pact, not with Sansa, not with Daenerys, but with Tyrion. A quiet conversation behind closed doors. Tyrion, who's tired of playing games. Tyrion, who's sick of his sister and all the damage she's done. He wants Cersei dead, but he knows his brother might not let that happen. So what does he do? He sends Brienne with Jaime. A secret mission. A setup, not to protect him, but to deliver him. Now listen, Brienne isn't some cold-blooded killer. She's not Littlefinger. She doesn't poison people or stab them in the back, but betrayal. It doesn't always need a blade. Sometimes it just needs silence. Brienne travels south with Jaime. On horseback, just the two of them. Days on the road, and Jaime, poor golden fool, thinks she's coming because she loves him, because she wants to protect him from himself, maybe even protect him from Cersei. But every time they stop to rest, Brienne says, less and less. Every time Jaime talks about Cersei, about how she's still his family, Brienne's heart hardens just a little more. By the time they reach King's Landing, something in her eyes has died. They arrive at the gates in the middle of the night. The city's on edge. Daenerys is camped outside, planning fire and blood. Cersei's holed up in the Red Keep. And Jaime, arrogant as ever, walks straight in, and Brienne. She lets him go. No warning, no goodbye, no turning back, because she knows what's waiting for him inside. Not forgiveness, not redemption, but death. See, Tyrion told Cersei that Jaime was coming. He made sure she knew. That was the deal. Cersei, in one final play, agreed to lure him in. No love, no mercy, just poetic justice. For everything he took from her, for leaving her, for turning against her. And Brienne, she just stood there, at the edge of the city, sword at her side, watching, waiting, knowing. The same woman who once fought a bear for this man, now sends him into the lion's den without a shield. Jaime walks through the Red Keep, his golden hand glinting in the torchlight. calling out for his sister, thinking maybe he can still save her, that there's still some twisted hope left. But Cersei isn't smiling. She doesn't embrace him. She stabs him. No words, just a knife to the gut. Blood spills. Jaime stumbles, and in his last moments, he doesn't see love. He sees betrayal, not just from her, but from Brienne too. Because betrayal isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a silence so cold it freezes your soul before the blade even hits. The blood hasn't even dried on the floor of the Red Keep when the screams begin. The Lannister guards. Outside the chamber don't move. They heard the sound. They know what it means. But they've been given orders. No one interferes. Cersei's word is law, and Jaime Lannister, the Kingslayer, is no longer protected by it. Inside, Jaime is on his knees, hand pressed to the wound in his stomach. It's deep, fatal. He knows it. You can see it in his eyes, that look of disbelief. Not because he didn't think Cersei could do it, but because he didn't believe she would. "You should have stayed gone," she whispers, cold as stone. Jaime tries to speak, but blood fills his throat. He looks at her, not with hate, not even anger, but sorrow, like he finally sees her for who she truly is. Not the woman he loved, but the monster he helped build. And outside the gates? Brienne hears the muffled cry and does nothing. Let that sink in. The same woman who once promised Catelyn Stark she'd protect her daughters. Now just let the man she once loved walk into death, fully knowing what was waiting for him. But let's rewind a bit, because this betrayal didn't start at King's Landing. It started on that road south. On the surface, their journey looked like a reunion. Two warriors, one last ride. But underneath it was something else entirely. Tension, silence, unspoken truths. Jaime kept talking about Cersei like she was still worth saving. Like the years of bloodshed, lies, manipulation, like all of that, could just be brushed aside. But Brienne? She was watching, listening, and every word Jaime spoke reminded her of who he really was. Not the man who saved her from a bear, not the man who opened up in that bath at Harrenhal, but the man who pushed a child out of a tower, the man who killed his king, the man who went back to Cersei again and again, even when the world burned around them. By the time they reached the city, Brienne wasn't in love anymore. She was disgusted, and now, with Jaime dead and the city waiting for fire to rain from the skies, Brienne sits just outside the gates, on her horse, staring at the smoke curling above the walls. She doesn't flinch, because in her eyes the war is already over. And she won. But things aren't that simple in Westeros. See, when a Lannister dies, people notice. And when Jaime Lannister dies in his sister's hands, word spreads fast. Tyrion hears it before the first crow finishes its flight. He's in Daenerys' war tent, surrounded by maps, listening to Grey Worm talk about breach points and wildfire. Cashes when a messenger bursts in, pale, shaking, terrified. "Your brother's dead," the boy says. Tyrion just stares. Cersei killed him. Now, here's where it gets real. Tyrion thought he was playing the game. He thought he could outsmart the players. But he never expected Cersei to actually go through with it. He thought she'd hesitate, cry, that some tiny sliver of humanity would stop her. He was wrong. And Brienne? She walks into the war camp that evening like nothing happened, her armor still clean, her face unreadable. She walks straight up to Tyrion and just nods. It's done. Tyrion doesn't respond at first. He's not sure what emotion to feel. Relief that Cersei might be rattled, grief over Jaime's death, or rage at Brienne. Because here's the thing. He never said to let Jaime die. He thought she'd talk him down, stop him, maybe turn him around, even bring him back. But that's not what happened. Tyrion looks at her, eyes sharp. Did you try to save him? Brienne doesn't answer. And that silence? It says everything. Later that night, Tyrion stands alone at the edge of the camp, wine in hand, looking out toward the city walls. Behind those walls is Cersei, now mourning, angry, unstable, and inside her chest, a heart colder than dragonstone. She didn't just kill Jaime to protect herself. She did it to send a message. To Tyrion. To Daenerys. To everyone. No one escapes me. But Cersei doesn't know something yet. She thinks Brienne betrayed Jaime for revenge. But Brienne? She's got her eyes on something bigger. Because letting Jaime die wasn't the end of her mission. It was only the beginning. Brienne has watched this realm fall apart from every angle. Lords lying, kings dying, oaths broken, women silenced, honor twisted. And now, she's had enough. She doesn't believe in songs and knighthood anymore. She believes in endings. And Cersei Lannister? She's next. The next morning, King's Landing is silent. Not the kind of silence that feels peaceful. This is different. This silence is heavy, tense, like the whole city knows something's coming, but no one dares say it out loud. Jaime's body lies, cold beneath the red keep. Cersei had it dragged away without ceremony, without mourning. No funeral, no farewell. She didn't even look back. But that's who Cersei is now. A queen surrounded by ghosts. Children dead, allies scattered, enemies closing in. And still she clutches that iron crown like it owes her something. But she doesn't know yet what's already slipped through the cracks. Outside the city, Daenerys prepares her final siege. The Unsullied have lined up like stone statues. The Dothraki, those who survived the Battle of Winterfell, sharpen blades and smile like war is a song they can't wait to sing again. And above it all, Drogon circles in the sky, waiting for a single word. Dracarys. But in Daenerys's tent, it's not just battle strategy being discussed, it's Brienne. See, Tyrion can't stop thinking about her. Not just because she let Jaime die, but because of how calm she was afterward. No regret, no emotion, just those cold words. It's done. That's not the Brienne he knew. That's not the woman who cried when Jaime left Winterfell. That's not the loyal knight who lived for oaths. So, who is she now? Varys, sitting in the corner like a spider with no web left, raises an eyebrow and speaks up. She's changed, he says, voice low. Grief does that. So does betrayal. Tyrion pours himself another cup of wine, his fourth that morning, and just nods. She didn't betray Jaime, he mutters. She just stopped saving him. But deep down, Tyrion knows that's not true. Brienne chose to walk him to his death. She made the call. And now, whether he admits it or not, he needs to know why. So he finds her. She's sitting alone near the edge of camp, sharpening her sword. No armor, just her travel cloak and that distant stare she wears now like armor. Tyrion stands a few feet away, arms crossed. Was it worth it? He asks quietly. Brienne doesn't look up. He chose her. Again. He always did, Tyrion says. But you were supposed to stop him. Brienne stops sharpening. He didn't want to be stopped. Now there's silence again. The kind that hurts more than shouting. Tyrion sighs. We're storming the city tomorrow. Brienne finally looks at him. And? He hesitates. I want Cersei alive. That makes Brienne laugh. Not loud, not mocking. Just a short, bitter sound. Like she's heard the most pathetic joke in the world. You still believe there's peace left in her? She asks. That woman killed her own brother. After everything, what makes you think she won't burn the whole city down with her? Tyrion doesn't answer, because deep down, he doesn't know. Later that night, Brienne walks alone near the city wall. She looks up at the stones, the towers, the sky. Her fingers brush the hilt of her sword, but she doesn't draw it. She's not here for blood. She's here for justice. See, the Brienne that lived for honor died in Winterfell. The one who rose from that snow-covered battlefield isn't a knight. Not anymore. She's something older, something colder. She doesn't want glory. She wants balance. And Cersei Lannister? She's the scale that's never tipped. But let's cut to the Red Keep now. Inside, Cersei watches the flames from atop her tower. She knows war is coming. She's not stupid. She's already moved her soldiers, hidden wildfire reserves under key spots in the city, made deals with men she'll betray the moment they outlive their usefulness. But even now, she's shaken. Because Jaime's death didn't bring her relief. It brought something worse. Silence. She thought killing him would free her. Instead, it made her feel more trapped than ever, and just when she's lost in thought, Qyburn enters, whispering in her ear. There's word in the camp. The knight. The woman. She's here. Cersei turns slowly. Brienne? He nods, and for the first time in years, Cersei looks afraid, because she knows the look of a woman who has nothing left to lose. She's seen it in mirrors. And if Brienne has come this far, it means she's not leaving without finishing what she started. Dawn breaks over King's Landing, but the sky doesn't feel like morning. It feels like a funeral. Smoke hangs in the air even before the battle starts. Not from fire, but from fear. The kind of fear that spreads when you know something terrible is coming, and you can't stop it. Inside the Red Keep, Cersei stares out over the city. She knows what's about to happen. She's been preparing for days. Secret tunnels cleared, wildfire caches set, the Red Keep guarded tighter than ever before. But this isn't about armies anymore. Not really. This is personal. Jaime is dead, and Brienne of Tarth, the woman who let him die, is here. Cersei knows that Brienne didn't just follow Jaime out of love. She followed him because she was done watching good people die for bad ones. And she knows Brienne didn't return to the camp in defeat. She came back with something colder than revenge. Conviction. Back outside the walls, Daenerys watches the city like a hawk. Her army is ready. Drogon hovers above, wings stretching, across the skyline like a shadow of death. Tyrion walks beside her, shoulders tense. His mind's not on war. It's on Brienne. He told her not to kill Cersei. He begged, but he saw it in her eyes. She's already decided. Brienne isn't listening to kings or queens anymore. She's listening to something else. Her own, damn. Silence. Daenerys turns to Grey Worm. If the bells ring, she says, we stop. Grey Worm nods, but everyone knows, bells or no bells, something is going to burn today. Now, here's where things twist. Brienne doesn't wait for the gates to open. She takes the back path. See, what most people forget about knights is they know castles better than anyone. And Brienne, she once protected Renly in the royal court. She knows the tunnels, the servants' passages, the old stone routes under the keep. Places only ghosts and rats go now. She rides out before sunrise, alone. No banners, no army, just her sword, and a promise. To end this. She enters the city through the old blacksmith's quarter where no guards are posted. The people there are already fleeing. Women with children, old men dragging carts, all looking up at the sky waiting for fire, but Brienne moves like a shadow. Silent, focused, and she heads straight for the Red Keep. Inside, Cersei is waiting. She's dismissed the guards from her chambers. The mountain stands beside her, massive, silent. Qyburn is in the corner scribbling something down like death is a letter he can still rewrite. Then Cersei hears the door creak. She stands up, and there in the hall is Brienne, blood-stained, armor dented. hair wild from the wind, and in her hand, Oath Keeper. Cersei doesn't flinch. She steps forward, slowly. So the dog returns. What now, Lady Brienne? Do you think killing me brings back your precious knight? Brienne doesn't speak. She just stares at Cersei like she's not even human anymore, like she's just a name on a list. You loved him, Cersei continues. So did I. Difference is, I didn't pretend to be honorable while I crawled into his bed. Brienne steps closer. The mountain moves, but Cersei lifts her hand. No. Let her speak, if she even can. And finally, Brienne says just 5 words. You killed the last of him. That stops Cersei cold. Because for all her cruelty, all her pride, Cersei knows that part's true. Jaime wasn't a saint, but there was a part of him, small, hidden, that wanted to be better. That part loved Brienne. And Cersei killed it. Brienne draws her sword. Oathkeeper gleams. You took my honor, she says, voice shaking. You took my oath, and then you took him. Cersei backs away, just a step. You think killing me will fix you? No, Brienne says, but it'll end you. And then, chaos. The mountain moves in, sword raised, but Brienne's faster than anyone expects. She sidesteps, slashes low, catches him off balance. Steel clashes, sparks fly. It's brutal, loud, not graceful, just real. Every blow Brienne lands comes from somewhere deep, from the moment she watched Renly die, from the nights she stood alone on empty roads, from Jaime's final broken look. Cersei runs, but she doesn't get far. Brienne finishes the mountain with a stab under the chin, right through the throat. He collapses like a building caving in, and she follows the queen. Cersei scrambles down the stairwell like a trapped animal, her crown slipping. The Red Keep shakes. Outside, the siege has begun. The gates are falling. Drogon screams. Brienne catches her in the old crypts beneath the castle. There's nowhere left to go. Cersei turns, breathing hard. No more wit, no more venom, just fear. You don't have to do this, she whispers. Brienne walks slowly. I already did. Oathkeeper swings once, clean, silent, final. The Queen of Ashes is no more. King's Landing burns, but not the way anyone expected. There's no wildfire eruption, no dragonfire wiping out entire blocks, no screaming mobs being turned to ash. No, this time, the city dies quiet, because its queen is already dead. When Brienne walks out of the Red Keep, soaked in blood and dust, the city stops. Even the screams soften. The Dothraki halt mid-charge. The Unsullied lower their spears. And from above, Drogon circles slower, sensing something has shifted. Tyrion sees her first. He's standing near the front lines, just behind Daenerys. He watches Brienne walk toward them. Not limping, not wounded, just done. Like a woman who walked through fire and didn't burn, but also didn't care if she had. She stops a few feet away, drops her sword at Daenerys' feet, and says just 4 words. It's over. She's gone. And that changes everything. Daenerys blinks. Looks. Toward the Red Keep. The towers still stand. The bells never rang. The wildfire never exploded. The queen never screamed. It all ended with a sword. Not fire, not prophecy, not madness, just steel. Now, the soldiers don't know what to do. The plan was to take the city by force, to break the wheel, to turn King's Landing into a symbol. But now the symbol lies dead beneath the rubble, her crown rolling across the stone. Daenerys walks past Brienne, slow, calculating. She climbs the stairs of the Red Keep, alone, and finds Cersei's body in the crypts. No fanfare, No final monologue, just a corpse in a cracked dress. For a moment, Daenerys doesn't know what she's looking at. Is this victory? Is this peace? Is this justice? Back outside, Tyrion pulls Brienne aside. "You did what I couldn't," he says quietly. "You did what he couldn't." Brienne doesn't answer. Her eyes are empty. Because this wasn't a win. She didn't fight for banners or thrones or dragons. She fought because someone had to end it, and she did. But no one claps for her. No songs are written. No crowd cheers her name. Because that's how real justice feels. Cold, quiet, unfinished. Later that night, the lords and commanders gather in the great hall. The throne still stands. No one sat on it yet. Blood stains the steps. Ash floats in the air like broken snow. Daenerys enters, silent. Behind her, Brienne. Behind her, Tyrion, eyes heavy. Daenerys stands in front of them all. She doesn't shout, doesn't boast, doesn't promise. She just says this: "The war is over, the queen is dead, and I will not sit the throne." You could hear a pin drop. Yara Greyjoy blinks. Gendry shifts in his chair. Sam Tarly looks like someone punched the wind out of him. "She killed your family," Tyrion says softly. "You've marched across continents to get here." "I came to break chains," Daenerys replies, "not wear one," and then her eyes move to Brienne. Let her decide. The room turns. Brienne's not ready for that. She never wanted power. She's not a leader. She's a sword. But in that moment, every face in the room is looking at her, because she did what kings and dragons and armies couldn't. She ended the Lannisters. She ended the war. Tyrion steps forward. "You carry the sword that ended the cycle. You carry the truth. Maybe that's enough." But Brienne? She shakes her head. No throne should be filled by blood. And then, for the first time since Jaime died, her voice breaks. "I loved a man who thought redemption meant dying for the wrong woman. And I killed the woman who thought power meant killing the right man. None of that makes me a ruler." She picks up her sword, walks to the Iron Throne, and drives it into the stone beside it. Not through it, not breaking it, just beside it. Warning, a marker, letting everyone know. This time, the war didn't end with fire. It ended with choice. Weeks pass. King's Landing rebuilds, slower this time, quieter. No coronations, no parades, no new tyrant claiming the throne with fire and speeches. The Iron Throne still sits there, cold, empty. Rust creeps up its edges. No one touches it. Because something changed that day. Not just in the city, but in the soul of Westeros. After so many kings and queens, so many wars fought in the name of houses, gods, and glory, the people are tired. Tired of bending the knee only to have their backs broken. And in that silence, something rare grows. Possibility. Not peace. Not yet, but the possibility of it. Out in the streets, people whisper about the Tall One. That's what they call her now. Brienne. The knight who came into the city without banners left her sword beside the throne and walked away without a word. Some say she was a ghost. Others say she was justice. But here's the truth. Brienne didn't want a legacy. She wanted out. After everything, Renly, Jaime, the war, the betrayal, she realized that Westeros didn't need another knight with a title. It needed a silence between rulers, a space where power didn't instantly pass from one hand to the next like a cursed blade. So she left. No farewells, no titles, no council meetings. She walked away and vanished. Now, let's talk about Tyrion. After Daenerys stepped back, Tyrion found himself in a strange place. Not hand, not prisoner, just a man with knowledge and guilt and nowhere left to put either. He didn't try to build a new council. He didn't try to name a king. He simply stayed. And for once, he listened. He listened to the farmers who lost their fields to fire, to the mothers who buried their sons in the name of someone else's war, to the young girls who had dreams but no shield to protect them. And slowly, something real started to form. Not a monarchy, not a democracy, but something in between. A council of houses, not noble bloodlines, but chosen voices. Lords and ladies, yes, but also tradesmen, healers, ship captains, people who knew the world outside castles. And from the ashes, the first talks of a new realm began. One not ruled by fire or fear, but by agreement. It wasn't perfect, was slow, messy, loud, but it was different. And that, finally, meant hope. And what about Daenerys? She didn't stay long after the siege. She left Drogon behind the mountains and traveled east, across the sea, far from the smell of blood and ash. No one knew where she went, not even Tyrion. She didn't want a throne. She wanted healing. And, maybe, for the first time, she finally started to find it. Because that's what no one tells you about vengeance. It doesn't fix the wound. It just stops the bleeding. Healing. That's something else. But let's bring this back to Brienne. Years later, her name still echoes. Not as a queen, not as a knight, but as the woman who ended it. People carve her likeness in stone outside the Red. Keep, not as a warrior in armor, but as a woman holding a sword beside a crown. Untouched, a statue with no plaque, no title, just presence, and deep in the north, in a quiet village near the woods, a tall woman lives alone. She farms, teaches young girls how to wield a sword, not to fight war, but to walk the roads in safety. Some say she still wears Jaime's cloak at night, old and worn. Others say she buried it beneath a tree and never spoke his name again. But everyone agrees on one thing. Brienne of Tarth broke the wheel not by force, but by refusal. She didn't slay kings. She didn't sit on thrones. She just said no to the game, to the cycle, to the lie that honor had to bleed before it mattered. And that was her last oath. One she kept without swearing it.